This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Hey, listeners, whether you love true crime or comedies, celebrity interviews, news, or even motivational speakers, you call the shots on what's in your podcast queue, right? And guess what? Now you can call the shots on your auto insurance. Enter the Name Your Price tool from Progressive. The Name Your Price tool puts you in charge of your auto insurance by working just the way it sounds. You tell Progressive how much you want to pay for car insurance. Then they'll show you a variety of coverages that fit within your budget, giving you options. It's easy to start a quote. You'll be able to choose the best option for you. It's fast. Now that's something you'll want to press play on. It's easy to start a quote, and you'll be able to choose the best option for you. It is just one of many ways you can save with Progressive Insurance. Quote today at Progressive.com to try the Name Your Price tool for yourself and join the over 28 million drivers who trust Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
This episode is brought to you by Shopify. Whether you're selling a little or a lot, Shopify helps you do your thing, however you cha-ching. From the launch your online shop stage, all the way to the we just hit 1 million orders stage. No matter what stage you're in, Shopify's there to help you grow. Sign up for a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/special offer, all lowercase. That's shopify.com/special offer.
I am here to tell you that today is the day. This morning in Manhattan, Donald Trump will become the first former U.S. president to go on trial for a crime and face a jury of his peers. Well, unless something changes. Something could always change. Last week alone, Trump and his attorneys filed one motion after another, seeking a delay. They complained about the venue. They complained about the judge. That's when I got Slate's Jeremy Stahl on the line.
He's running out of moves. It's just been a series of these efforts, and it's getting towards the end point for this. It's happening. He doesn't have any more outs.
So here we are. You would be forgiven for being a little soft on the details here. There are a lot of cases to keep track of at this point. This one is about payments to adult film star Stormy Daniels.
This story has been in the air since at least 2018, when it was first exposed publicly.
Today, for the first time, President Trump acknowledging he reimbursed his personal lawyer, Michael Cohen, for the $130,000 payoff to adult film star Stormy Daniels.
Daniels told 60 Minutes she had a consensual one-night stand with Trump once in 2006 and says earlier that day Trump told her, quote, "You remind me of my daughter."
And Michael Cohen faced federal charges for the same actions that Donald Trump is finally being tried for now.
And the question at the time was always, why isn't Trump being charged?
Yeah, and that was, 6 years ago that didn't happen?
There were good reasons Trump wasn't charged back then. He was president, after all. Holding him accountable was hard, maybe impossible at the time.
The reality is he never faced any consequences until Alvin Bragg, the district attorney in Manhattan, filed these charges in April 2023. And it's been 6 years. It's been 6 years.
Everything old is new again.
That's right. Expect to hear the words zombie case quite a bit in the coming weeks from people reporting on Donald Trump's attorneys' statements in court. They're likely to try to portray this as a case that Alvin Bragg, the district attorney of Manhattan, desperately tried to revive for no good reason other than to fulfill political promises to go after Donald Trump that he made during his own campaign for district attorney. It's an old case. It's old facts. But the fact of the matter is, as a legal argument, that doesn't matter.
Today on the show, the zombie case that could be Donald Trump's worst nightmare. I'm Mary Harris. You're listening to What Next? Stick around. This episode is brought to you by Bloomsbury and Book of Secrets. How well do we really know the people in our lives? How well do we know ourselves? From best-selling author C. Ren comes the spellbinding true story of a spy in 20th century China. Following the lives of military intelligence officer Jia and his wife Moon, the Book of Secrets pieces together the family's trajectory as Jia joins the Communist Party and becomes loyal until the late 1970s, when he makes a decision that will poison his family against him. Pieced together from an extraordinary archive of personal diaries and letters, the Book of Secrets is a powerful tale of deceit, betrayal, political intrigue, and the family torn apart. Available from Bloomsbury Continuum, wherever books are sold.
It's hard to imagine a world where we leave future generations with fewer rights and freedoms. The Supreme Court has stolen the constitutional right to control our bodies. Now politicians in nearly every state have introduced bills that would block people from getting the essential sexual and reproductive care they need, including abortion. Planned Parenthood believes everyone deserves access to care. It's a human right. We won't give up and we won't back down. Help ensure the next generation can decide their own futures. Donate to Planned Parenthood. Visit plannedparenthood.org/future.
So, remind all of us, what are the actual charges that are at the heart of this case that's going to move forward in Manhattan today?
So I'll go back to 2006. Melania Trump has just given birth to their son, Barron, and Trump is in Tahoe for some celebrity golf event, and he meets this adult film actress, performer, Stormy Daniels. Stephanie Clifford is her born name. And according to Clifford and according to how she's told this story, they had an affair. Basically, in this period after Melania had given birth to Barron, Donald Trump slept with Stormy Daniels. Fast forward to 2016. Donald Trump is the Republican nominee for president. He has an agreement in place that has been negotiated by his personal attorney, Michael Cohen, with the National Enquirer, the company that owns the National Enquirer, to find these types of stories of potential scandals, stories of potential sexual escapades or whatever, and kill them, nip them in the bud.
Yeah, this had a nickname called Catch and Kill.
Catch and Kill. That's right. The National Enquirer had a vault, a literal vault of stories about people that they would not allow to see the light of day. They had a practice of paying sources, and they would pay sources to have the ownership rights to their story, and then they would put them away forever, right? And they did this with another woman that Trump was alleged to have had an affair with, Karen McDougal, who had been a Playboy playmate. And then when it came time, though, towards the end of the 2016 election to put the kibosh on this story, the National Enquirer didn't. So the allegation is that Trump enlisted his personal attorney, Michael Cohen, to do it for him.
So Cohen offers Stormy Daniels how much money to just be quiet?
Stephanie Clifford, under a false pseudonym that isn't even Stormy Daniels or her name, signs an agreement not to talk for $130,000. And this is within 10 days, a week of the presidential election. It's after the Access Hollywood tape has come out. And while all these descriptions of and allegations about sexual assault against Trump are coming public, and at this very moment, this is when Cohen and Clifford decide, we're going to make this story go away. We're going to sign this agreement. $130,000 is going to be the cost. And that will be that. Flash forward to Trump in office, and he signs a retainer agreement with Cohen to pay him for legal work. And the allegation Cohen has made is that the legal work was actually to pay off this back pay, this $130,000 he paid Stormy Daniels to influence the 2016 election.
This is a reimbursement.
It's a reimbursement. And it's a reimbursement for a $130,000 essentially illegal contribution to the campaign. And that is the crime. That is what Trump is being charged for.
This part is key. Trump is not being charged for paying off Stormy to keep quiet. The charge in this case, or 34 charges to be exact, are for falsifying business documents. Basically, trying to disguise what was actually going on by cooking the books. The fact that these are criminal charges means this trial is going to look a little different than the courtroom appearances we've all gotten used to over the last few months. First of all, Trump will be in front of a jury. Second of all, Trump will need to be there day after day. no matter what.
Donald Trump, while he's the presumptive Republican nominee, and while he's supposedly supposed to be on the campaign trail, is going to be locked in this courtroom for 6 to 8 weeks. He has to sit behind that defendant's table. He has to face his 12 jurors who will be in judgment of him and that judge. Whether or not he's going to comport himself in the way he did in those civil trials, which he acted aggressively, erratically, wildly, and was chastised repeatedly by the judges in those cases. Whether or not he's going to do that in front of a jury, I don't even want to try to predict, but it didn't go well when it happened before. And the stakes for him here, I think it's fair to say, are higher.
Yeah, it seems to me that there's going to be this new dynamic of a jury, Trump having to be in the room, and criminal charges. Because there was a jury in the E. Jean Carroll case. Trump wasn't there for a lot of it. And then Trump was in the courtroom for the civil case for at least some of it. But there was no jury, and so he'd be combative, but it was against the judge. And so it just seems like there's going to be a new ball game going on.
There's going to be a new ball game going on. He's got good lawyers. Susan Nichols has one of his defense attorneys has a reputation as one of the best cross-examiners and defense attorneys in New York. And, you know, she defended like mob family underbosses, a guy named Benny Eggs, and all these other high-profile clients. And she's just known as being very, very aggressive when she's cross-examining witnesses on the stand. And she's just got a really sterling reputation, to be totally honest.
It sounds like you're kind of looking forward to seeing her at work in the courtroom.
Her more so than Todd Blanche, who is his other principal defense attorney in this case, who is already kind of like in the most recent hearing here was chastised by the judge for trying to portray the prosecution as a selective prosecution without any real evidence. And just like he was kind of put in his place pretty easily. And he is also like has this very, very good reputation, but he's kind of like, what's happened with him is he's moved to Mar-a-Lago with his family and sort of like set up shop as like the Trump guy.
He's fully in the cocoon.
He's fully in the cocoon, and you can see it in his legal filings. You can see him saying all these aggressive Trump-like out there demands for removing witnesses and claims about witnesses and claims about the prosecution and claims about President Trump's political prospects, that Susan Nichols isn't necessarily signing off on every one of those filings or legal actions. And he seems deep in the Kool-Aid.
Do we have a sense of what kind of defense Trump and his lawyers are going to mount here?
Okay, so they've already alluded to this in a number of their filings, and the key part of what they're going to argue is they're going to really batter and just try to knock the credibility of the key witnesses in this case, and that is Stephanie Clifford and Michael Cohen. They're going to essentially claim that she was extorting Trump for money. They're already laying out in pre-trial filings how they're going to argue that this is a person who seeks to, quote unquote, monetize her encounter with Donald Trump, and that's all that she's continuing to do. They're already saying that she's going to be willing to lie on the stand in order to do that. Same deal with Michael Cohen. They're going to say that he is not a credible witness. He not only is involved in this crime, but he was alleged to have done a bunch of tax crimes. And then he pled guilty to those, but in the recent civil trial, he refused to own up to it on the stand. He claimed that he had lied when he confessed to those crimes. So he either perjured himself when he confessed to the crimes, or he perjured himself in the civil trial when he said that he lied when he confessed to the crimes. And they're going to say that this is not a credible person. This is not a credible witness. I think that's going to be their principal defense, pointing to these two people at the center of the case and saying, can you trust them?
It'll be interesting to see how the prosecutor here responds to that and how the witnesses themselves respond. Because there are a couple ways you could do it. I mean, you have the defense of, well, when you lie down with dogs, you get fleas. So who else is going to be testifying here? But then in the case of Stephanie Clifford, Stormy Daniels, it's interesting. She's just come out with a documentary. And one of the things you leave that documentary with a sense of is the fact that once these allegations are out there, you almost have to monetize your experience because that's how you're known. You get the sense hearing from her that it felt like there was almost no other choice but to embrace this is who I am because you're getting attacked from all sides. And this is the one thing people want to engage with you on.
That is like a good takeaway. I think that she suffered greatly from this, as I said. Like her lawyer, Michael Avenatti, ripped her off hundreds of thousands of dollars in book fees that she just never saw. He also filed a defamation suit against Trump. She says not with her consent. And they ended up losing that suit. And she ended up owing hundreds of thousands of dollars in legal fees to Donald Trump because of that.
So it's hard to argue like, oh, she's really just raking in the bucks here.
She's not coming out of this up on top is what I'll say. But at the same time, to your point, what else is she going to do with this? Like this is such a huge part of how she's seen in the world now in her life and has dismantled other parts of her life. So like, what else is she supposed to do but try to work it as much as she can to just survive? I don't know that that's the case they're going to make, but I think the case they're going to make is just look at the facts. We have facts. We have this set of interactions that happened at this time, at this place. We have evidence that these people were in this place together at this time. We have these financial documents. So even if you don't trust the individual people, you can trust the facts of the documentation of where everybody was when and who paid who what when.
We'll be right back after a break. This episode is brought to you by Discover. When it comes to your finances, Discover wants you to know they are the credit card that is always there for you. With 24/7 U.S.-based live customer service, everyone has the option to talk to a real person anytime, day or night. Yep, that means no more waiting for, quote, normal business hours just to get a hold of someone. We are talking real service from real people whenever you need it. Get the customer service you deserve with Discover. Limitations apply. See terms at discover.com/creditcard.
This podcast is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Most of you listening right now are probably multitasking. Yep, while you're listening, you're probably also driving, cleaning, exercising, or maybe even grocery shopping. But if you're not some kind of moving vehicle, there's something else you can be doing right now. Getting an auto quote from Progressive Insurance. It's easy, and you could save money by doing it right from your phone. Drivers who save by switching to Progressive save nearly $750 on average, and auto customers qualify for an average of 7 discounts. Discounts for having multiple vehicles on your policy, being a homeowner, and more. So, just like your favorite podcast, Progressive will be with you 24/7, 365 days a year, so you're protected no matter what. Multitask right now. Quote your car insurance at Progressive.com to join over 28 million drivers who trust Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. National average 12-month savings of $744 by new customers surveyed who saved with Progressive between June 2022 and May 2023. Potential savings will vary. Discounts not available in all states and situations.
I want to make sure that we take some time to talk about the judge in this case. His name is Juan Merchan. Can you tell me about him?
So he is interesting to compare to some of the other Trump judges in that he is like this very no drama, by the books, strong, strict guy. But he's like in the E. Jean Carroll case, Lewis Kaplan had this reputation as being the judge in that case had this reputation as being kind of combustible. Same with Arthur Engoron, who got into it so many times with the defense in just numerous back and forths, where there's just like these, flashes of anger and temper that, some judges have a reputation for more than others. Merchan doesn't put up with guff, but he also isn't like a fly off the collar kind of a guy, is my understanding. He's a registered Democrat, but he was appointed by Michael Bloomberg, who was a Republican in his initial job. And he was a former prosecutor in the Manhattan DA's office and the Attorney General's office. And he's not like a fire thrower, but he's also just been he's had such a firm hand in this case and really kept the train on the tracks so well to the point that they're going first.
Yeah. I mean, it's worth noting this is not Judge Merchan's first Trump-related trial. Like in 2022, he oversaw a criminal tax fraud case involving the Trump Organization. Is it just chance that he's doing this not over again, but he's looking at a similar defendant now?
I think that's right. And I think that he ran that trial pretty well. And it resulted in the conviction of a CFO of the Trump Organization, Alan Weisselberg. It resulted in maximum $1.6 million financial penalty against the Trump Organization. And it showed that he can handle this, right? Now, the scale is going to be increased significantly of all the potential drama and circus that he will be dealing with. But he's already dealt with something very similar in a no-drama way. And I think it's fair to expect that he will continue to do so as well as any of these judges are capable of.
I mean, Trump's lawyers have requested that Judge Merchan recuse himself from this case. Not once, but twice. Merchan's refused. They're arguing that he's a Democrat. They're arguing that his daughter is involved in Democratic politics. Is this just a delaying tactic on Trump's attorney's part, or do they have some kind of merit?
Well, Trump's strategy in all of these cases is attack, and delay, right? He wants to portray the judge as being anti-Trump bad guy, and so that whatever the result, whatever the outcome, he can claim that he was the victim. In terms of the request that he recuse, every judge in the state of New York probably has some political donation on their file, right? It's not a reason. A $10 political donation is not a reason for recusal.
I mean, $10 is literally what we're talking about here. Like $15 to Biden and $10 to a group called Stop Republicans that he gave.
$25 is not the basis for a recusal. And judges don't recuse for far larger donations all the time. So that's just not happening.
As you can imagine, Trump and his attorneys have not been thrilled they are stuck with this judge. And in recent weeks, Trump has ramped up his public attacks on the judge and his family, singling out Merchan's daughter and wife on Truth Social. The judge has fired back, slapping Trump with a gag order. In other words, this trial is off to an acrimonious start. Ultimately, though, Trump's fate is going to be decided by the 12 jury members attorneys will be selecting today.
And the behavior that he's had in some of these other trials did not play well in front of, say, the Eugene Carroll jury, which was also a New York jury. So I think his attorneys will want him to cool it on that stuff. And he's never listened to his attorneys. But it'll be interesting to see to what extent the man is controllable in any setting, including one where his potential freedom is literally on the line.
Yeah. Okay, let's really go into speculation land. I'm just curious what you think things will look like if Trump is convicted here. Like, first of all, would he go to jail? And is New York State prepared for that possibility?
I think that another person convicted under the same set of facts of the same crime would go to jail. Do I think Donald Trump will go to jail for this? I am very, very doubtful.
Simply because it's too challenging to do it?
That and just the challenges of the optics of imprisoning a former president and a presidential candidate. That's not to say I think he goes off scot-free. Michael Cohen served the years of his sentence in home confinement. Home confinement seems like a perfectly fine punishment to me. He's got some nice homes he can pick from, if that's the route that a sentencing judge ultimately goes, if he's convicted.
Yeah, it's interesting because a Republican strategist was quoted basically saying a criminal conviction wouldn't necessarily prevent Trump from winning an election or serving as president, but it could influence how he's able to conduct himself on the job. Like, if he's in home confinement, he might have a curfew. He might not be able to conduct the duties of a president, like welcoming a foreign dignitary. It was just so interesting to think about, like, this is a whole new world of possibilities that someone might have to think about.
So as long as we're way off in speculation land, my feeling on this is that if he is convicted and elected, that there's no way that the Supreme Court allows him to remain either in the custody of the state of New York while he's president. That also means, though, that he has this 4-year stop clock, right? Because this will be his second term, and under the Constitution, you're only allowed to serve 2 terms if he wins. And there's a 4-year stop clock under which that, home confinement room or jail room or whatever room is waiting for him. And that, to me, would make a second Trump presidency and a second Trump term all the more dangerous.
How long do we expect this trial to last?
The estimate from the court, I think, is something along the lines of 6 to 8 weeks.
So May, June, we'll know. Guilty, not guilty.
Yeah, and that'll be before the Republican National Convention.
Yeah, which is in July.
I know Trump is the presumptive Republican nominee, and there's almost no way that they find somebody else. But all I'm saying is that we'll know by then, which is, it's significant.
Jeremy, thanks so much for coming on. Good luck today in court.
Thank you, Mary.
Jeremy Stahl is the jurisprudence editor at Slate. And that's the show. What Next is produced by Paige Osborne, Elena Schwartz, Rob Gunther, Madeline Ducharme, and Anna Phillips. We are led by Alicia Montgomery, with a little boost from Susan Matthews. Ben Richmond is a senior director of podcast operations here at Slate. And I'm Mary Harris. Thanks for checking in. I'll catch you back here next time.
When we made our McDonald's Spicy Chicken McNuggets, you were praise hands emoji. Then we ran out, and you were streaming tears emoji. Now they're back, so you can be grinning face with sweat emoji. Order ahead on the McDonald's app.
And get Money Mouth face emoji with 2 orders of crispy, irresistible 10-piece McNuggets, spicy or classic, for just $6. Limited time only. Prices and participation may vary. Cannot be combined with any other offer. Single item at regular price.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.